Hello everybody, Val Mosier here from Roper Mountain Science Center, and today we're going to talk about simple machines. So I want to get you started right away thinking about something. In front of me I have a number of different simple machines. Of these simple machines, I want you guys to figure out which one is the lever. So we're going to put that up on the screen and you guys can figure it out: A, B, C, D, E, or F. Awesome. Okay, so hopefully you're given an answer, and I'm guessing you might have said C, right? C is our lever. A lever has a long arm, and it has a fulcrum, or a point at which the arm pivots. And our job with this simple machine is to move a load. In this case, I have a little weight on here, and we apply the force on one end to lift the load on the other. All right, so good job with that. I bet you got that. So we did lever. All right, so let's talk about a few other simple machines. This is a pulley. Now, a pulley does a couple things for us. A pulley can change the direction of the force, or it can help by reducing the amount of force that we need, but we go a longer distance with our rope. So a pulley is made up of a grooved wheel and a rope. Okay, so that's a pulley. Then we have inclined plane, or ramps. Okay, we call them either thing. So I have two different ramps here, and I guess you could imagine which one would be easier to pull a load or something heavy up the ramp, right? It would be this one, longer slope, but it's also shorter. So we're actually doing a different amount of work with these different ramps. This one certainly would be a lot harder, but going to a higher height. So we're going to think about how we do work with our simple machines. All right, we've talked about the lever, so now I have another challenge for you. All right, so I have a 225, basically, gram weight on this end, and it's very close to the fulcrum, or the point at which it pivots. So now I have a smaller weight. This is half the weight of this, so it's half the force. So my question is, should we put it at the blue spot on the lever or the red spot on the lever in order to move our load? Okay, so think about that. Okay, so where would we apply this force in order to move this heavier weight? Okay, all right, I'll give you a second to think about it. So you're going to choose blue, or red. All right, so let's test it. So remember, half the weight. So if you said blue, I'm going to put it here and see. No. Okay, so not doing anything yet. Let's try it on the red spot. Oh, okay, it moved the load. So we are able to use half the force, but we had to go a much longer distance to apply that force in order to move the load. All right, good job with that, guys. All right, now let's go to our next simple machine, which is, we're going to demonstrate with this, which is our wheel and axle. A wheel and axle is simply just a wheel with a rod or axle connected to it to help overcome the force of friction. So I have two of the same cars here. Imagine that we didn't have wheels on this one, so I turned it upside down and we pushed it, right? So lots of friction. Now we put wheels on it and so much easier to move, but we travel a longer distance. So think about that wheel. Right, I've got my little yellow tape line there, and if we move that wheel, right, it's going a longer distance than just sliding on the table, but our force is less. That makes our work feel easier. All right, now we're going to our next one, which is, we would call a screw. Now this is a special type of simple machine. I love this one, so we're going to do a little close-up view. So we have a nice close-up view, and we can see our threads, okay? All right, good. Now, you've probably used a screw before, right? And you use it to hold pieces of wood together. So we apply a force and we turn the screw and it starts traveling into the wood. Well, it turns out that a screw is just a different version of another simple machine. So take a look at our threads here, and if I unwrap the screw, all those threads, it's really just an inclined plane. So a screw is just an inclined plane wrapped around a rod of some type. All right, so that's a special type of inclined plane screw. All right, now our last one is the wedge, which is also a special type of inclined plane. And it has either one inclined plane on it, or it has something like this with the nail, two inclined planes back to back. And the force is being applied in one direction, and the output force is being pushed in a different direction. So we can use this to hold a door open, right? This is a door stop, so it's used to actually use that force to separate objects, or our nail, which is used to push through the material, okay? All right, guys, now, those are our simple machines. So simple machines are devices that have few or no moving parts that help make our work easier. All right, guys, now, we have something special for you today. We are going to take this up to a whole new level, and we are going to take on a special theme, a real world theme with our simple machines. We are going to take on a farm theme. So in order to do that, I've got to change spots, and we're going to a whole different area. So I'm going to meet you there in just a second. All right, guys. Welcome to our Simple Machines game, farm style. All right, so we have a living history farm here at Roper Mountain, and we've taken on that theme today because we have loads of simple machines on our farm. Now, we're going to start by doing different challenges. So there's going to be 3 main challenges. I'm going to even give you guys points for these challenges. You have to keep track of your own points. All right, so honor system, no cheating. All right, guys, so each challenge is going to be worth 10 points, and we have bonus point opportunities, which are also worth 10 points. All right, so we'll see how many points you can get at the end. Now, our job is to figure out, for the same amount of work, which of the simple machines we test, which one either gives us more force or less force, okay? And so that challenge, we'll explain the challenge as we go. So, we're going to start with our first one, which is called Ramp It Up. All right, so we're going to test some inclined planes. We have 2 different ramps or inclined planes, which we know is one of our simple machines. And our job is to, our work is to lift the load to this height. Now our load in this case is our hay bale, which is about 35 pounds. All right, now, so if I try to lift this up, and guys, we're going to use a spring scale today, and what that does is as we try to lift the load, it's going to show the force of the weight pulling down, okay? So, I'm going to try to lift this thing up. Oh, it's so heavy, I can't even lift it up. But we put it on a scale before we started, and each hay bale weighs about 35 pounds. All right, guys, now, what I want you to think about is which of these 2 ramps will make my job easier. And what I mean by that is which one will give me the least amount of force, okay? So, all right, which one will I need the least amount of force to move that load? All right, so I have this long ramp, okay, this is ramp A, and my shorter ramp, which is B, and they are at different angles. All right, so think about that for a second. What we're going to do is we're going to pull them. We're going to test to get a reading on the spring scale, okay? And remember, with no machine, it's 35 pounds. All right, so I'm going to start over here because this one looks easier. It's kind of shorter, it's a much shorter distance. All right, so we're going to put our spring scale. We're going to reach down here, okay, at the spot on our rope. All right, now I'm going to pull it up, and then we're going to go to a close-up view of the scale. All right, here we go, and we get a nice close-up view, and we are at about, looks like, about 35 pounds, or about, I'd say about 16 kilograms, okay? So really didn't help me much, okay? So really didn't reduce the force. Let's try A, all right? So this is a longer distance, okay? Same load, right? 35 pounds, that big hay bale. All right, and we're gonna, I gotta reach the long way. And, well, it feels easier. All right, so we're gonna take a nice close-up view. There we go. And it looks like it's right at about 20 pounds or about 9 kilograms. All right, guys, and I can tell you that felt much, much easier. All right, guys, so if you said A, ramp A, or inclined plane A, made our work easier, you are correct. And we saw that with the measurement on the spring scale, and I felt it. This was much easier. But I had to go a longer distance. My work is the same, okay? So let's talk about that formula, which is work equals force times distance. Work is the same. In one case, I had less force over a longer distance. I had more force over a shorter distance. Okay, awesome job with that, guys. I bet a lot of you got that. So keep your points, give yourself 10 points. Now I have a chance for a bonus point. All right, guys, so here's your bonus question. This is worth 10 points. So when we looked at the inclined planes on the table, our simple machines, there were two special ones, okay? So can you think of two other special machines other than just the ramp that were a version of an inclined plane? Okay, there's two possible answers. If you get one, you get 10 points. If you get two, you still get 10 points. You just get bragging rights. All right, we're going to put that question on the screen, and you guys are going to give us some answers. So let's see what you got. All right, think about that, guys. All right, and all right. So guys, I've changed spots. All right, now let's go over that bonus point question. All right, hopefully you said screw, which remember when I wrapped that was an inclined plane, or you said wedge, okay? And if you said an example of a wedge, like a doorstop or a nail or something, we'll give you those points as well. So good job. All right, guys, now we're gonna move on to our next game. This is also worth 10 points. All right, so this is called our 3 strikes game. So our goal is to take the hammer and strike the nail 3 times. We want to see which nail will go farther into this foam board. Now we're going to do a little close-up view of our nail so you guys can see the nail. Okay, all right, good. And those were made, I guess, by blacksmiths here on the farm. So right here at Roper Mountain. All right, guys, now we have a hammer, okay? All right, so I have 3 of the same type of hammer, all exactly the same. We drilled 3 holes in it to create 3 different fulcrums, so 3 different points at which the lever will pivot. All right, so let's take a look at the first one. This one has, from the fulcrum to the end where we're gonna apply the force, this has a short distance, okay? And this is the load that we're moving, okay, because it's gonna come down and hit the nail. All right, let's take a look at our blue one. This is our middle position. We have the fulcrum in the middle, okay? So longer distance than the red, okay, but not the whole length of the hammer. All right, let's come down to the green now. All right, so look where the fulcrum is, the point at which we pivot. So we have this long distance here, okay, away from the fulcrum, still trying to move that load. All right, guys, now, hopefully you are thinking about how this is going to work. So we're going to demonstrate it. Now you guys can think about how you use a hammer, okay? Think about what might be the best way to hold it and to apply that force. All right, let's start with the middle one, and then to get the points, you guys will have to figure out which one is the red or the green would be better than the blue. All right, so we're going to test it. See, I'm even using a simple machine to hold my hammer in place, all right? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the force down here, the input force down here. It should strike there. We get to do it 3 times. Here we go. All right, make a prediction of what you think will happen. All right, there's 1, whoop. Reset it back to the same position. 2, all right, and 3. Okay, so that went pretty far in. I think that's pretty good, and we will measure today how far the nail is sticking out. So we want the nail that's sticking out the least. Okay, so that's about 2 centimeters, all right? So now here's what I want you guys to think about. So we're gonna do the same test with the red and the green. Which one will nail the hammer, or sorry, which one will hammer in the nail the furthest? Will it be the red one or the green one? So think about where our fulcrum is. Think about the distance we're traveling, okay? I'll give you a few seconds to figure that out. So take a look. Think about how a hammer's used. Okay, bet you got an idea. All right, so we're gonna start with the red one. Gonna release it. Okay, actually I'm gonna let it go from here. All right, and here we go. There's 1. Ooh, that was a good one. All right, and 2. Also another good one. All right, let's try it again, and 3. Okay, definitely went in further than this one. All right, what do you think is going to happen with the green? So even if you thought the red one would be better, what do you think will happen with the green? All right, so we're going to take our 3 strikes. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to give an extra one just to be sure. 4. I bet we could do this all day, and I don't think that nail's going to really go in much further. So let's figure out what happened. So let's take our measurements though, okay? I'm going to be scientific about this. All right, so we had, that's just under a centimeter, and this one was just right at 4. And we started out just a little over 4 centimeters for each of these. All right, guys, so what happened was, remember, we're doing the same work. The work is the same for all of them. In this case, we were traveling a shorter distance from our fulcrum to where we're applying the force, and that gave us a lot of force, right? Here we're in the middle, so it gave us some force, right? That's kind of why that one's in between. And then here we were traveling a much longer distance, which means we had less force, which is why that one didn't hammer it in. All right, so guys, if you guessed red, then you got it correctly. You nailed it. Good job. Okay. All right, guys. Now, bonus points.
So 10 points for that.
That's right, 10 points. So give yourself your 10 points. That's right. Awesome. All right, guys. So these are sheep shearers, okay? And there are 2 simple machines we can identify here. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a chance to figure that out, okay? While you're thinking about that, I'm going to move some things around in the background, okay? All right, guys, so think about that answer. And what are the simple machines that we have in those sheep shears? All right, if you get 1 of them, I'll give you 10 points. If you get 2 of them, I'm still going to give you 10 points, okay? All right, but you get bragging rights. Okay, guys? All right, so what do we have? Hopefully you said a lever, right? So here's the pivot point or the fulcrum. I'm applying the force here. The load is there as we're cutting, right? Okay, and maybe you said wedge, hopefully because this edge of our shears have a wedge on it. Or if you said inclined plane, I'll take that too. All right, guys, now, 3rd challenge. Worth 10 points. Okay, here you go. This is called the big pull. And so we're going to use pulleys to do this activity, or this challenge, I should say. Now, what our work is to raise a 20-pound bag of gravel to about the height of the top of this board. So I have 1 pulley here. Now remember, a pulley is a simple machine that's just a groove wheel with a rope in it. All right, now I'm going to pull down. All right, it's pretty heavy. Okay. I don't really feel like this is helping me much. So 1 fixed pulley like that is just going to change the direction of the force. It's not going to actually reduce it. And we can even test that with the spring scale. Now guys, I'm not going to be able to show you the close-up view of the spring scale because it's upside down. But I can tell you it's right at 20 pounds. All right, so that's 1 pulley. Let's come over here and take a look at these other 2 options. This one is 2 pulleys. Okay, so option A is 2 pulleys. Option B is 1, 2, 3, 4 pulleys. Now let's take a look at this. One's a fixed pulley. This one's different. This is a movable pulley, which means it moves with the load. That one has 2 fixed pulleys at the top and 2 movable pulleys, and they're together what we call block and tackle. But it's the same load. Okay, now. I want you guys to make a prediction. Well, or this is for points, so you actually have to make your guess. All right, guys. So which one of these will give me the least amount of force, okay? Which means which one will make it feel easier for me to do, okay? So think about it. Will it be A? Will it be B? All right, we're going to test it. So while you're thinking about it, we're going to test it in 2 ways. We're going to test it by checking the distance that we pull the rope, okay? Because remember, work is force times distance. And then we're going to do it with the spring scale too. So we're going to measure the distance and the force. All right, so 20 pounds. Let's see what we got. All right, I'm going to turn it so my ropes aren't as twisted there. Okay, we're going to do this by counting how many pulls. Okay, so I'm going to keep my hand here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and like a half. Okay, so like 5.5 poles. All right, so remember that number, 5.5. All right, now maybe you're making a prediction of what's going to happen with this one. So remember, there's 4 pulleys, so I basically have 4 ropes, okay? And I'm going to untwist this one as well, make it a little bit easier. There we go. All right, so let's see how many pulls this time. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is way easier. 8, 9, 10, and sort of basically about 11, okay? And I will tell you that was way easier than that one for sure. And it was even easier than this one. Certainly felt that way. All right, guys, so we had a much longer rope, twice the amount of length of rope as this one, and this is twice the amount as that one. Now, let's try with the spring scale. Okay, now, what's your prediction? If that was 20 pounds, and with basically one rope, and we have 2 ropes, and it definitely felt easier, let's see what it is. Maybe you have a prediction. Gotta hold it there, oh, let it get steady, and it's just right a little over, say about 10 pounds. Maybe you guessed that, okay? We're about, somewhere close to between 4 and 5 kilograms. All right, guys, so if that was 20, this is 10, so 20 with 1 rope, 10 with 2 ropes. Over here I have 4 ropes, so maybe you have an idea of what this reading is going to be to lift our 20-pound gravel. All right, let's get it through there. I'm trying to pick a point that's higher because I have to reach way down. All right, oh, that is so easy. Like, look at that. Like, I did that with 1 finger. Okay, so let's see what the reading is. And it is, stops moving. So it's right at about 5, so like a little over 2 kilograms, okay? So much easier. That force was much less. So, but I had to go a much longer distance, right? So remember our formula, work equals force times distance. Force was less, distance was much longer. This one was, the distance was a little bit longer, right? But the force was a little bit more. This one had all the force with it, and we had the original distance of the rope there. So we each had 20 was sort of our total, I'll say, work involved there. All right, guys, so hopefully you guessed that. Give yourselves 10 points. You guys are awesome. All right, and if you did the math, which some of you I bet did, give yourselves an extra bonus point. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you one more thing. Last thing to think about is simple machines before we wrap up. I'm going to head to the back. I'll see you back there. All right, so we are going to demonstrate what is called a compound machine. This is called a push plow, and what it does is it's going to use this down here. I'm going to try not to say what that is, and it's going to push through the soil and make a groove or a row for planting. Okay, so we can drop seeds in there and then plant our seeds. Now, I'm going to demonstrate, this is, like I said, a compound or complex machine, right? It's got at least 3 different simple machines on it, okay? So I'm demonstrating a few of them, and I'm going to kind of turn it to the side so you guys can see this part of the simple machine as well. All right, this part of our compound machine, which is a simple machine. All right, guys, now, hopefully you've had a few seconds to think about it. So we have, as you probably figured out, a wheel and axle, okay? And that's making our job easier because could you imagine moving this and pulling this through the soil without that wheel and axle, okay? And then we have our lever, so that can adjust the height at which we're going through the soil. Okay, so our lever, our fulcrum is down there. Okay, we're applying the force here, and the load is down there. And you probably figured out the third simple machine. If you said wedge, great. If you said inclined plane, also awesome. We have our wedge here that's kind of cutting and moving through the soil. Sorry, I'm pointing to the wrong end. Down here, sorry, right there. All right, guys, so 3 different simple machines all together to make a compound machine. I bet you got that too. If you did, give yourselves another set of 10 points. So hopefully you scored lots of points today and did well with our simple machines game. All right, guys, thank you for being with us today. We miss seeing you, Roper Mountain. We hope to see you back soon. Think about Simple Machines in the real world and how we use this every day and to build modern structures, and everything that we use in our lives is probably some version of Simple Machines. So think about it. Thanks, guys. Bye.